How you doing, Patriots? It's December 6th, Wednesday, 2023. This is J6 News Updates and Chat. We're looking at day 1064 of the political hostage crisis here in America. And we'll get a watermark in here and get going. So thanks for joining in, Patriots. I've had a good day here in camp with my Freedom Corner buds here. Howdy, Kathy Richardson, Julie Jordan, Beverly, Bonnie, Jean Shannon, Deb Vi. I got you this time, Deb. I got the watermark in there. Hi, Docs and Grandma. We just wrapped up here in camp with the fundraising auction for David and Trooper and Sherry, and man, what a beautiful time that was with a bunch of Patriots here. We're here in the middle of the woods. Another Patriot down in Florida running the stream for us. Charlene, thank you. And even got a little, Sherry jumped in for a little bit, sold some artwork, and you Patriots stood up, man. We sure do appreciate you all, because this doesn't happen without you guys. And we need that support. We need the prayers. We need the prayers bad, because that's really how everything's working here. Hi, Docs and Grandma. Las Vegas. Yeah, I just saw something there. I don't got a whole lot of news today because we were so busy in camp today. But if you got some news, throw it in there. How you doing, Silly for Him? Glad to see you here. If you got some news, just throw it in there and I'll put it up on the screen for us. And let's just get going on what happened at Freedom Corner last night in case you missed it. First of all, I tuned in to David. David started his stream real early here, and he just had like a nice long hour chat with people, and we all were talking about all the crazy stuff that's happening in DC these days. And there is a lot of crazy stuff, man. The main thing was that house blowing up. We're all thinking, what in the world is going on? This house just exploded over in Arlington while the police were serving a search warrant on it, and we're all speculating on what's going on with that whole story, man. So Vegas, another shooting in Vegas. I mean, that's one of them areas where weird things happen in Vegas, don't they? There was that big shooting while Donald Trump was the president, early in his presidency, and we never did get to the bottom of what happened there. They have an investigation, then they seal the records, and we never know. We never find out what really happens over there. And Vegas is one of them hotbeds of weirdness that things just happen, and they are moments that just throws the entire nation into a loop on what is going on, wondering what's going on, into a slight hysteria, because, hey, that could have been my kids at that concert when that guy opened fire. So we still don't know what's going on over there, but I do pray that one day all will be revealed. I mean, we know that for sure, but whether it's here in our lifetime where we find out what's going on is another matter. And that's what we're fighting for. We're fighting so that we find out in our lifetime what is going on with our government. Nicole had a report on the hearings that they sat in on yesterday during the day before Freedom Corner. They sat in on the Christopher Wray testimony, and she said it's the same old show. He gets softball questions from Democrats. The Republicans just are so scatterbrained with their approach. We're all screaming, ask them about this, ask them about this, and they're asking them about totally different things here. And seemingly irrelevant stuff. And it seems like it's meant to happen that way. This is the third time Christopher Wray now has testified before some type of a committee or a hearing. And once again, he tiptoed and danced all around the questions, didn't answer really a thing. And we're all left with the same questions that we had before the whole thing started. fact of the matter is the FBI is focused on Americans right now instead of terrorists. And a couple of interesting things came up in the phone calls later on last night. Nicole brought up the fact that there was a Proud Boy arrest in Maryland, and once again we find an FBI plant in the middle of that group of people, and that arrest happened. So here we got the FBI infiltrating groups, pretending they're your friend, and then turning around and stabbing you in the back and trying to make a mountain out of a molehill, okay? And basically, that is what J6 is. It's a mountain out of a molehill, to put it as mildly as you possibly can. Hey, Ridgeline, how are you? Ridgeline's feeding me some good information here, too. I was trying to digest some of that today, so maybe we'll get into that a little bit. Okay, and then, so the first phone call last night was from Taylor Jonatakis and Jason Walls, but Jason didn't get too many words in there. Taylor pretty much was on a nice roll with a great conversation that he was having with on the phone there. And he started off with saying today was a good day because they were just getting moved around and he had run into some people and immediately they hit it off. They were comrades in how did he word it? It was a belief and fear, a love, fear, and belief in God that they shared. This is two guys that never met before in prison, and they shared that immediately off the get-go, and that allows you to have like a pretty deep relationship with somebody right off the get-go. When you're on common ground with how you revere God, that allows you to open up and have a really good conversation there. And then they ended up praying together, he said. And he said how powerful it is that when you pray together with another person that believes in God the way you believe in God, and that you could have some powerful prayer. And of course, wherever two or more are gathered, there he is also. That's what Jesus said. So his presence is with us when we gather in groups, and that's why we pray at the corner every night. That's why it's just good policy to pray with your family, because when there's a gathering of believers and they're praying, the presence of Christ is there with them. And then Taylor got off into other subjects, such as we are in trouble, America. The FBI is coming after Americans. They're not just spying after Americans. They're not just gathering information and evidence against Americans. They are literally setting Americans up by infiltrating groups, pretending they're your friends, getting you to talk freely, getting you to trust them, and then they turn around and stab you in the back. I mean, and they're getting paid to do it by us, by our taxes, and they are coming after us. They're coming after us, America, and this is where we got to stop this immediately. This is a derelict government that's doing this to their own citizens. And it seems like they're doing it under the authority of the Patriot Act, which was written to root out terrorists from this country. And I don't think anybody that got arrested at J6 was a terrorist. What they did is they changed the definition of the word terrorist, and that's how they justify their means here. Taylor was talking about how during his trial that the attorney, somehow or another, Safeway sales receipts became a topic of conversation in Taylor's trial. And I don't know how you can sit there with a logical mind thinking, all right, you guys are accusing me of felonies here, and we're going to start talking about Safeway sales receipts. And the argument is, Safeway didn't make as much money on J6 as they do on a normal day in the week, is what their logic is. But what in the world? How could a judge allow that type of a conversation and evidence to come into a trial when they're charging them with insurrection and trying to overthrow the government, blocking an official proceeding, and now we're talking about Safeway receipts in a court of law, one of the highest courts of law here. Holy smokes, silly. 12,000 plus illegal aliens flood open southern border in the last 24 hours, the highest single day ever. And Gateway Pundit, that's a great source of news, and guess what? You can't read that in the Pentagon, and you can't read that in the House of Representatives because they took it off their computers. They're limiting, they're censoring good factual articles like the Gateway Pundit right here. So how is anybody in the House of Representatives going to know 12,000 illegals came over the border today? You know, it's absurd. It's absurd. We are living in clown world, man. Taylor also brought up the fact that during the BLM riots, do you remember when that guy he fell asleep in his car in a line going into the Wendy's drive-thru, and then somehow or another, the cops ended up shooting this guy. Once they finally went and woke him up, got him out of the car, the guy started fighting with the cops. They had to shoot the guy because he got violent. That night, people went in and burnt that Wendy's to the ground. I don't know if this was it was more than 3 years ago because it was prior to the election. But anyways, the people that got arrested for that just got let go and given a $500 fine. These were arsonists. They burnt a Wendy's to the ground, and they got a $500 fine. That's it. You know, it's so in our face, America, and it's a matter of time before everybody wakes up for it. We do believe that more and more and more people are waking up to that. Okay, here we got this mass shooting at University of Las Vegas. Campus students ordered to run, hide, and fight. So that's our options now. Now that they're squelching the Second Amendment, your options are run, hide, and fight. Thank you, law enforcement. Thank you. It's a joke, America. It's a joke. And then after Taylor's phone call, Nicole got up on the microphone for a while, was talking about the Lafayette Square protesters that just recently occurred here in D.C., and how they were not charged with crimes, basically. They definitely on a whole milder level than the J6ers were attacked. And furthermore, the protesters weren't attacked at that Lafayette Square protest because nobody threw a flashbang in there. There wasn't any bear spray. There wasn't any rubber bullets, which is all stuff that happened at J6. And it was definitely instigated by the Capitol Police there. That was the initial violence that happened, was the violence that was committed on the protesters on the Capitol by the police there. Yeah, it is, Ridgeline. This is such bullshit. Let's see. Then we got a call from Chris Quaggin. And Chris Quaggin got a job in the jail. He got something called a detail position, which means they pay you to do maintenance in the jail. And he was kind of chuckling to himself like, wow, man, I'm a terror. You know, if I'm the bad guy they say I am, how come they let me mop the floors? Or I don't know what job he got, but he got a detail position in the jail. And I guess that helps pass the time, gets you a little money. They pay you like a pittance, you know, but basically he was pretty happy about that, man. That definitely helps keep where you're not in control of anything, you know. You do what you can do in the jail there, and you got a detail position. Chris Quaggin was then talking about how the Patriot Act used on J6ers. And he seems to remember early on, shortly after January 6th, that there was some Congress people or senators that was on television saying that the Patriot Act was not used on J6 protesters to allow them to go after phone records, the Patriot Act allowed a lot of our liberties to be taken away, basically. And did they use those exceptions to our Constitution to go after Americans? And the Patriot Act was created to fight against terrorism and only terrorism. And that if there has not to this date been one terrorism charge on a J6er, therefore, how can the Patriot Act have been used on J6ers if not one was arrested for terrorism? And that's something to think about. People in the legal industry profession, I think, should be weighing all this stuff, because this is rocking the legal profession to its core. Right? But there's obviously bad actors in there, and if you're working with one of these people, now is the time to stand up and say something. See something, say something. That's what they're telling everybody to do. And if you're in one of these professions, we need you to come forward and tell us what you're seeing, and tell us who the bad actors are. One cop going around doing bad things, it makes all the other cops look bad and threatens them. It puts them in a bad position, because somebody will see what that bad cops does and potentially retaliate against good cops. They'll see the cop uniform and go, one cop's, it threatens and puts in a dangerous position all the good cops. So please, lawyers, judges, law enforcement, if you see something, we need to hear it now. This is the time. This is the place. It's all happening now, and this is when it's time to come forward. And furthermore, if you are one of those bad apple cops, now is the time to come clean. All right, now is the time to just fess up, admit what you've been doing, admit it was wrong, and let's move on from there. Let's root this out of the system. Corruption out of our systems right now. This is time to do it. We got till the election. If that election is rigged again, we're going to lose our country. We're going to lose our country to globalist people who don't care one bit about you. They hate you. And you can tell they hate you by all their policies that they have, man. So yeah, no terrorism charges against any J6ers. How was the Patriot Act used then? And then Chris Quaggin also mentioned a couple of times that he was actually in jail with BLM people, with people that have been accused of terrorism. And they're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to get mingled with somebody from an opposite gang when you're in prison. They have rules about how to keep riots from happening in the prisons and stuff. And all those rules got broken very early after J6. Some of the first guys that got arrested were put in some very hairy situations, man. So Chris Quaggin, right before he hung up, and he always goes down to the wire on the phone, all the phone calls up until the end there. Jeff Sable takes care of the whole national anthem. End of the night phone call there, but thanks a lot to Chris Quaggin for orchestrating. I gotta write that down. I gotta tell the J6 News and Chat about this. I put a star down. Well, while I was listening to Mark Brew's phone call, I put 6 stars down next to that. This phone call was awesome, on fire. Mark Brew is a calm, collected human being who's caught up in this FBI sweep of patriots from the Capitol on January 6th. And he just started off by saying we are exposing the fraud in our government, okay? The J6ers got arrested. That exposed fraud, okay? That exposed cops violently attacking peaceful protesters over and over and over again. And that's what we're finding out now. Not that the facts changed, but the media didn't show that to you from the get-go. All they showed you was violent interactions with people, but they don't show you the 30 seconds that happened right before that violent interaction. And you were hypnotized. America was hypnotized by the mainstream media. And then Mark Brew got into a really interesting subject here. So he goes, we're trying to put together a case. We're all studying manuals and books and stuff and trying to figure out how to put together a really good case. And while I was doing that, I went through the Department of Defense War Manual. So I'm like, huh? War Manual. Okay, put a star down. Okay, what are you talking about, Mark Brew? And he's saying that, there's this war manual for the Department of Defense. It stipulates what war crimes are. It stipulates that, like the strategy, the protocol, if chaos were to ensue, here's how the military responds, okay? And he came up with this term that this is a belligerent government. According to the way the terminology in that Department of Defense's war manual, a belligerent government, and that got another star from me. What's he talking about? A belligerent government. But those are two words put together perfectly that just explained everything that's going on right now. We have a belligerent government. It doesn't respect us. It doesn't respect we the people. It doesn't respect our Constitution. Oh, here we go. Satanic holiday display spotted inside the Capitol. Iowa? Oh, Iowa, of all places, man. So we have this government that hates us. They're doing everything they can to hurt us, to harm us. All the government agencies came out and lied about the vaccine and the COVID thing. They hid the cures from us. They told you could get in trouble just by talking about these alternative cures. And over and over and over for the last, I'm thinking 20 years, man, our government has been lying to us, has been harming us by misinformation and controlling media sources and things like that. And that's in this Department of Defense War Manual. So I don't know where you can get a copy of that. If there's any military people out there that are familiar with this, I would like to hear more on this topic, because is it possible that our government is allowed to continue operating as a belligerent government if the people don't rise up? When is the military allowed to step in and rein in a belligerent government? At what point do their crimes become to the level where the military will step in without a commander-in-chief telling them to do it? I don't know if there are rules like this in this whole thing, man. But I really did like that word, belligerent government. And there was the other guy that used to call in all the time, man. He came up with the term hysterical tyrants, all right? So we have a belligerent government full of hysterical tyrants right now. And that says it, man. Words, the pen is mightier than the sword. That's what Jeff Sable says at the end of every night. Well, those are like 4 very descriptive words of what's going on right now. Okay, now Tammy was talking about how the transcripts from the J6 trials are being purged. Now, I don't know what that means. She knows what it means, and she mentioned it, but I'm not sure. What, they're just purging the transcripts? Like they don't got room to keep them? They're not archiving them? I don't know what's going on there. And she also mentioned this thing where you can alter your testimony within 10 days after you give testimony to, say, the J6 Commission, that you are allowed to alter that testimony if you feel that you might have misspoke while you were giving that testimony. And there's that gal that testified at the J6 Commission about Trump jumping over the seat and grabbing the steering wheel. You remember that chick? Cassidy Hutchinson, I think was her name. Well, she just submitted 18 pages of alterations to her testimony. Like, I'd like to see what's in that. What is she trying to alter in her testimony? Is she trying to change the whole thing that she said? Is she still saying that Trump jumped over the seat and grabbed the steering wheel from the Secret Service guy? I mean, that was definitely a lie, okay? Everybody knew that was a lie when she said it, and she insisted on it. So Mark Brew is saying this fraud must be purged. It must be purged. We have no alternative. We have a duty, Americans. We, the people, have a duty to purge this fraud from our government. So he's putting together a good case. He is definitely coming at it from another angle than any of it that I've ever heard. I mean, we got a whole bunch of different guys coming at. Brandon Fellows coming in from one way. Chris Quaggin coming in from another way. Mark Brew and a couple of the guys that are in there now are collaborating on this approach to fighting it. Oh, man. Colorado parents horrified. School assigned daughter to sleep with boy identified as trans on a field trip. I've been saying that if your kids are going to public school, you don't got to yank them, because you can have a dinner chat every night where you talk about school and make it aware to your kid where they're messing up, so that at least he's exposed to it, so that he can know how to fight it. But man, it sounded like get your kids out of school now. It is getting horrible in there. They got drag shows coming in. They got pornography in the libraries. It's getting out of hand, Patriots, getting out of hand. Mark Brew was also talking about the trifecta: Rome, London, and D.C. There is a theory, and I've studied it, or read up on it, where the world is actually controlled by these globalist families, and they operate out of Washington, D.C., London, and Rome. And it covers the financials, the war, and the religion of the world. And from what I see, my senses can gather information. What I see, what I hear, what I read about, what I dig up in information, it very well could be some type of a thing like that, in which case the whole world's got to stand up against this, man. And basically, if this trifecta is in power right now, they cannot have an uncorrupted person in a position of power. And maybe this is why they hate Donald Trump so much. Donald Trump is the most investigated man I have ever seen in my life, man. And I can assure you, the dude is clean. They wanted to look at his taxes. They screamed. They pissed and moaned for 2 years, 3 years about seeing his taxes. He finally showed them to him, and there was nothing there. And all of a sudden, everybody's quiet about that. Now he's up against these 4 federal charges on J6, on real estate stuff, on altering the Georgia election. And I can't even remember them all. And he's not in jail yet. So, I mean, the guy is clean, man. And in order for this trifecta, this London, Rome, D.C. cabal that's running the world right now, in order for them to succeed and continue on, they need corrupted people in office. So basically that means everyone in a position of power is corrupted, especially the heads of states. So that's a possibility. I'm going to entertain that thought and continue to look into that. And then right at the end of the phone call, Mark Brew was summing it up, and he goes, who gets to write the story, man? Who gets to write the story? You know how the victors always write the history of a war. And who's going to get to write this story, America? Are we going to let them write the story, or are we going to get to write the story? And that makes it seem it is critical right now that we have a duty to stand up and save ourselves. The government's not going to come into our rescue, especially if it's a trifecta. The government's didn't come in and rescue you from COVID, did it? No. It clouded the whole matter. It made things worse. Hundreds of thousands of people died. We're finding out about all that information right now, coming out of the pharmaceutical companies with FOIA requests and all that. There's a bunch of people studying that. If we had listened to Robert Malone, the inventor of the mRNA vaccine, instead of Fauci, hundreds of thousands of people would be alive today. But instead, they censored Dr. Malone, the guy who invented it, and did not allow him to come forward and have his message heard, man. All right, what do we got here? Biden snapping. It's a bunch of lies. Biden snaps after New York Post reporter asks why he interacted with Hunter's foreign businesses. I laugh because I don't know what else to do. This is our country. This is our president we're talking about here. And the dude is a buffoon. Unbelievable, man. So I don't know if we get up on this Department of Defense war manual thing. Is there a way for we the people to petition our military directly about we have to get rid of this belligerent government? We are stuck with a belligerent government. We can't get rid of them because of entrenched corruption. They are in charge of the elections. The elections are still rigged. And there is no way that we can, even if the elections weren't rigged, they got secret information on everybody, on people's crimes that we don't have as voters, that we can't even vote intelligently anymore. The whole system is corrupted at this point. Can we just directly petition our military? That's what I would like to know. That's just me thinking out loud over here. So that was a great phone call, Mark Brew. God bless you, man. Keep at it. These J6ers are our future leaders, is what's becoming very, very evident here. Let's see. Tammy did a great roll call, man. And then Brian Jackson called in. They were talking about the Danish film crew. Somebody else was on the phone with Brian who said they were Danish, and they just had a good chit chat there, man. It was good. So there was a Danish film crew there last night, by the way. This is the second night now we've had a film crew at Freedom Corner. 3 nights ago, it was Sky News UK was there, and they tried to get the guy they were talking to on the phone. They tried to trip him up, but man, the guy did not. Frank Quistino. The reporter got on the phone with Frank Quistino and tried to get him to say how Trump made everybody do everything on J6, and he did not do that, man. He didn't say that. And that's not what happened. People were there. J6 started way before J6, is what Frank said, man. Okay, Democrat PA school board president sworn on stack of books that includes sexually explicit material. Oh, you can swear on a stack of books now. Okay. You bring your, can you swear on a stack of comic books? Are they the same thing? Is the Bible the same as any random stack of books, the same as comic books, the same as, pornography? What's going on, America? Do we have a country here or not? God save us. God save us. Mickey got up and said some things about the American Patriot Relief Fund, and this is the site that has set up the J6 hotline that helps people that have just found themselves in the boat of being a J6er. They help their families. They help get them. They just help out the families that are caught up in this dragnet that the FBI has laid out for Americans, and they need help. All right, the American Patriot Relief needs help. They need people to answer phones. To just record information. You can do that probably from the comfort of your own home. And we have so many patriots in our chats watching the Freedom Corner, live streamers and stuff. I know there's somebody out there that can jump in and help. The reason they need help is because the people that started it are now going into their trials with J6. They were J6ers, and they are now occupied with going to the court and defending themselves against our tyrannical government, man. So if you can, get on their website, American Patriot Relief, and find out if there is somewhere where you can jump in and help our J6 patriots, because that's our duty right now to America. I know we can't just change this whole thing overnight, but we have to accommodate and comfort the families that are just wound up in this whole J6 political corruption thing. Well, all right. I don't know who. Okay. Hopefully that helps out. As you know, the Freedom Corner streamers need a place to stay right now. And that is one of the issues that we're looking for. So if anybody has a line on something. Currently, we're camping out. I'm not at Freedom Corner for undisclosed reasons right now on the recommendation of attorneys. And but I'm here to help my Freedom Corner buds just have a good day when we're here. I help organize things here, and I'm looking to visit them in the future. But for right now, I got to stay away from D.C. We'll talk about that after everything pans out. And they need a place to stay. They need to find an apartment, like a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment. Sherry Hefner's going to come down, and David and Stormtrooper are a group that's kind of sticking together, taking care of each other, and they need a place to stay somewhere in D.C. So we're looking at any type of a line that can help that out. Any representatives from your house, because if these guys aren't down there at the corner, we don't know what's going on at the corner, because mainstream news is not covering it at all. And neither is Steve Bannon or Charlie Kirk or Jack Posobiec or Benny Johnson. Nobody's covering the Freedom Corner, man. And this is tip of the spear action that's going on down there. The tip of the spear is the elections are still rigged, okay? We got nothing, America, if we don't got a fair election in 2024. And secondly, we got prisoners of war, because this government, this trifecta, is at war with us, okay? They have killed people. They've killed patriots. They have murdered tens of thousands of Americans with the COVID thing, and they are throwing these people in jail and putting them in sentences that are totally ridiculous. You get a $500 fine for burning a Wendy's to the ground, but if you're a patriot, if you're somebody who cares and loves your country and loves Donald Trump and wants fair elections, they're throwing you in jail for 15 years for pushing a bike fence, you know? That's what's going on right now. We are at war. We got a J6er who has just reached out and asked directly, can somebody please write me a letter? His name is Zach Rail, Zach R-E-H-L, and he just made a request for letters. So Patriots, I know a lot of you are great letter writers, and you got the system down. You know what you can and can't write about. You know how many pages you can put in there and the type of envelope. There's a lot of rules, but the Patriot Mail Project has all that information, man. Okay, here's the other group I was talking about, American Patriot Relief Fund website. There's their website. If you can help out answering phones, collating information, and organizing the efforts of many patriots that are stepping up to help families all over the country, please contact them and see what you can do. Here we got the Patriot Mail Project, which is where you would get Zach Rail's address. You can find out what prison he's in. They have all the rules on the letters that you need to follow so you don't get your letter sent back to you. And they also have tons of other information, little bios on each of the guys that's in their files there. So please reach out and help these families, patriots. All right, and then I don't like asking a lot about this, and I'm such a rookie at YouTube. The only way you can donate to me, and I do need donations to continue to do this, is to send me a donation to this P.O. box, post office box. I can get money and checks there. I also love receiving cards. I've gotten cards. I've gotten prayers from patriots. I've gotten information from patriots, and I really like it. I even got a letter from a troll. Some poor, sad troll out there didn't feel like he was doing his complete job by getting in our chats and talking shit all the time. And they actually sat down and wrote me a letter and told me how horrible I am in a letter and sent it to me, man. I was laughing my butt off when I got that one. That was really hilarious, man. All right, thank you, Sylvia, for the links there, and Sunkissed. It's awesome. This is a team, Patriots. This is a team. It's not one guy streaming. It's not two people on a computer. It's not chatting in a chat. This is a family. This is a team we got put together here, and it is a beautiful, beautiful thing happening, man. Okay, and then at the end of the night, Jeff Sable called in. We had that film crew filming things, so they got a good shot of the Patriots on Freedom Corner singing the national anthem. And, yeah. And then Jeff usually gets into some really cool topics after the phone call with Tammy and stuff. They were talking about this WikiLeaks dump. So we're still trying to figure out if there was a WikiLeaks dump or not, because we heard about it yesterday. Or if it was old news. It was an old dump that everybody was just talking about yesterday online. And we're not sure. We're not sure if there is a new major WikiLeaks dump or not, man. And then while the film crew was there, Mickey asked Jeff to explain why, when we sing the national anthem on Freedom Corner with the J6ers, do we say, "Still there," and while we say, when those two words come up in the national anthem. And of course, the story is when Francis Scott Key was on a British boat out in the harbor, and the British were bombing this fort, and they told him to surrender or they will unleash on them and crush them. There were prisoners down in the hold of this boat. And Francis Scott Key, he was an officer, so he was allowed to walk freely on this British boat. And the prisoners down there kept asking up, the British said, all you got to do to stop the bombardment is take that flag down. And they would not take the flag down. And any time the flag was in danger of falling over, they went up and barricaded the pole so it wouldn't fall over. And the prisoners down in the hold were saying, is the flag still there? Is the flag still there? And Francis Scott Key was going, yes, it is still there. So when we sing that national anthem and everybody shouts out, still there, that's what that story is right there. And Freedom Express Media got a great video on that he put out a couple of weeks ago. If you want to look it up, it is a beautiful, beautiful 10, 12-minute video on the whole story of Francis Scott Key. And somebody famous did it. I forget if it was Glenn Beck or Rush Limbaugh or somebody did it, but it is awesome. And Jeff Sable we have to take the high road. We cannot descend to the depths of these belligerent, hysterical tyrants and fight them on their own game, okay? We got to rise above it, and we got to take the high road, and we got to win this battle the right way. And a lot of people busting on Mike Johnson these days, but I got to stand behind Mike Johnson because he is the only guy that has gotten things to move forward here. And he is a very diligent man, and I believe that there is a procedure. This is the high road that we take. This is the ironclad way to defeat these people legally without bloodshed. And let's get off of Mike Johnson's case and give him support. Let's pray for Mike Johnson, okay? And give him the support that he needs to do what he knows he has to do. He's a constitutional lawyer. He's a Christian man, and I think he's legitimate, man. He is not compromised with big money. He is the 434th poorest member of the House of Representatives out of 435. And that should tell you something, because money corrupts a lot of these guys. There's a lot of different ways to corrupt a leader and keep them in power and keep them in your pocket. And I don't think Mike Johnson is one of them. There's very few that are not compromised in our government right now. And then, let's see, Jeff shared a verse. I don't have my Bible here with me. Proverbs 17:15 was a verse that Jeff Sable shared with us last night. And he read it last night. It was great. All the Proverbs are great. All the Scripture is great. You want wisdom? Read the Scripture. Oh, here it is. Silly for him with the link. The Star Spangled Banner like you never heard it. It's really good. It'll give you goosebumps, man. And this is our history, America. This is what they did. They literally kept that flagpole up with the bodies of dead patriots, man. It is heart-wrenching. It is heroic. It is all American, man. And we defeated the British, and here we are. And we're about to lose it to who? Some belligerent, faceless, hysterical tyrants? I don't think so, man. We're better than they are, man. We're going to win this one, Patriots. And then right at the end of the night, Jeff Sable saying we need a legitimate committee to study J6, man. And we knew that for a long time. The original J6 committee, they broke all kinds of laws. They didn't archive their interviews with the people that they called for witness. And they are now the Hutchinson, whatever, Cassidy Hutchinson is altering her testimony. We'll see what the final product of that is. If it's anything like what she actually said in court, is she totally switching it up? Apparently you're allowed to do that. So I don't get what's happening in the courts. I don't think that would go for in any other court other than D.C. And that gets back to this trifecta thing with the three cities that run the world. Maybe D.C. is an exception and they make their own rules up as they go and they're allowed to do it until we petition our military and say, step in and get rid of these clowns. So I don't want it to come to a civil war, people. I got children, I got grandchildren. I do not want that to happen, and I will try everything in my power to do it without violence. So with that, Patriots, I love you for joining me here. Thank you for staying involved. And everybody jumping in where they see a spot where they can be of help to the J6ers and our country. So I appreciate you all being here, Patriots. I love you all. Share this out. That's right. Yeah. Try to get the word out on this. Share out 1791 Stormtroopers lines, live streams. He's on Getter. Stormtrooper says Getter is just taking off for him. He's getting a lot of people on Getter and Rumble, and so is David on Freedom Express Media. All the links, man. We the People MAGA, Glory Be, for Ashley J6 Vigils. They're all the streamers that are down there right now. There have been many other streamers that have been in there and then out of there. And I think God has taken this group of people that we have right now. From the time of the convoy till now, we have seen and learned so much. And I think God has put together the team that's going to be doing this. And we're always looking for more people. But, man, there is a vetting process to the whole thing where you know who you can trust and who you can't. Zach's last name was Rail, R-E-H-L, there, Ridgeline. Zach Rail. Yeah, he says he needs letters, man. And a lot of these guys are in a hard spot. Once they leave the gulag, they're sometimes the only J6er in the entire prison, so they don't have the camaraderie of the Patriot pod that they're in right now down at the gulag. So, yeah, support your streamers. Let's support Mickey and Nicole and Tammy and Helena down there. They got big bills in order to stay where they're staying. There is not room for other people there. They do offer their house for J6 families to stay at temporarily while they're attending trials and stuff. They are doing a huge service to the J6 community by keeping that vigil going. They started it and they kept it going. We've started other vigils in Lewisburg and Warsaw, Virginia, and we're looking to get more vigils started across the country. We need vigils at the, we need to keep an eye on what's happening to our J6ers once they get shipped off to other Bureau of Prisons facilities. And Bureau of Prisons is one of those belligerent entities within our government that is not obeying the normal rules that they're supposed to be following. So if you could listen to one thing from last night I would listen to the Mark Brew's phone call. Was right in the middle of the night there, and he was just spitting truth so fast I couldn't write it down fast enough. So we'll see you in the chats there tonight at Freedom Corner. The guys left camp. They're heading down there right now. Hope they got some good food. And I'm holding down the camp. Hopefully got some warm food for them when they got back. Okay, here's Zachary Rails' address. There you go. You don't even got to go look it up. Silly for Him is right there with the link. We'll put it up on the screen, so even if you don't catch it in the chat, it's still up on the real video when people come back and look at the video later. We got quite a team, Patriots. We got a great team going. Things are happening. Houses are blowing up in D.C. Who knows what's going on? But all we know is something's going on, and we are going on. God bless you, Patriots. We'll see you down there at Freedom Corner. This is Jericho, over and out.